Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Jade Alberts from Calgary, Alberta. I am a small business strategist, influencer, and brand builder. My passion is helping small businesses grow and succeed. Sharing knowledge and stories is why I started to Telling It Like It Is Facebook Live. It is live, so if you do have questions, put them in the comments section. If you're viewing this after the fact on another social media platform, don't hesitate to ask questions. They will be answered. Today's Telling It Like It Is guest is Alison Smith, founder of Alison Smith Coaching. Alison, thank you for joining me today, and how are you?
I'm great, thanks. Thanks so much for having me on, Jade.
Oh, I'm so excited. I know we met about maybe about a year ago, and then we didn't talk, but we met through Startup Canada chats, and we both participate in that, and it's a very good chat, and I know you've been on there every now and then, and I'm probably a little more frequent than you, but...
Yeah, I think, I did about 4 or 5 of those chats, I think, all last year.
Yeah. Yeah, I know they do offer some good help for small businesses, and obviously we were able to connect, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'll give a brief little introduction here. Alison is an international parenting coach and personal development speaker. She is passionately driving a movement to create a generation of kids who grow up confident, compassionate, resilient, and ready to make their mark in the world by helping their parents calmly and intentionally choose their responses to every challenge life presents. She is a founder of an online parent learning community and co-founder of the Thought Leaders in Parenting Collective and the Positive Parenting Movement Group, and author of the Gentle Parenting Manifesto. She's been a frequent guest on TV, radio, podcasts, and print media, having written regular columns in several publications, been an event speaker, a trainer, and has recently become the first certified UEQ trainer in the Atlantic provinces of Canada. We will get into the UEQ here shortly, but you used to work directly with kids as a public school teacher. Please let us know how you decided to start a company that helps parents with their children.
Well, it was a coming together of quite a few things. I felt like something wasn't the right fit for me in teaching, but having spent quite a few years investing in becoming a teacher and doing the education and practice teaching and all of that, I didn't know what else I should do because the investment was there. I should just keep doing it. There's benefits, pension, all that good stuff, right? Don't want to pass that up. But then there was a medical or a health scare that my husband had, which caused us to re-examine the way that we were living our lives. He's fine now. It's been 11 or so years. But yeah, that pushed me to ask more questions. What else can I be doing? And then we also decided to have kids because we weren't getting any younger, as my mother and doctor like to say. So yeah, we got going with kids, and then I realized, okay, so what I thought I knew about kids and parenting, the reality is a little different. So I was looking for ways to be the kind of parent I wanted to be, but I didn't have the role models. So again, got curious, began searching for a different way to parent. And so I came across methods sometimes called gentle parenting, attachment parenting, positive discipline, all those kinds of terms. And it was a real fit. And I also realized that what I was developing as my own philosophy, others were also doing. And so putting all of these together, my strengths and my weaknesses, what I needed in order to be, it all just kind of combined. And then one day I was driving down the road and I said, life coach, I've heard of that. Maybe that would be something I could look into. So I did, loved it. My first client, I can't even believe the few dollars I charged for that one. She had a great experience. And so I thought, you know what, let's just see what happens. And here I am.
That's interesting. I've had a few guests on talk about whether it be a life-changing experience or a health scare with a partner or even themselves and how that's driven themselves to becoming an entrepreneur. So I see a trend there that is probably a little more popular or a little more driven towards entrepreneurship than I probably thought in the past.
Yeah, it's a shame that it takes so much of a wake-up call for most of us to make the changes that we know in the back of our mind we really want to be making, but we're afraid. And the more I do this work, the more I'm becoming myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm more true to myself. I'm also getting older, so I really don't give a hoot. If I can say hoot, right? I don't give as much of a hoot about what others say. And it used to practically consume me. I was a perfectionist, control freak, worried about what everybody else would think.
Yeah.
And my soul knew it, that I just wasn't on the right path.
Well, and that's a good thing. Again, I'm talking with Alison Smith of Alison Smith Coaching. You can click on the link in the comments section and it will take you directly to her website. So I'm sure there's not a one size fits all solution, and parents have different philosophies, as you mentioned in your your answer there. Please share how you help them resolve their issues.
Well, it's interesting. There are a lot of different philosophies, but there are also a lot of different personalities, not just the parents, but the kids, and how the parents grew up, what sort of trauma or micro traumas and bad experiences they may have gone through that shaped their approach with their kids. But one thing that is the same is this drive that all of us have to be closely connected with others. And it's through that comfortable, safe, supportive kind of relationship that we all do our best and we all grow. And that's no different for our kids. In fact, it's even more important for our kids because they can't advocate for themselves. They can't even always recognize what it is that they want or need. And so it's up to us to deal with our own stuff.
Yeah.
And find the answers that work for our kids, but keeping in the forefront this concept that it's the relationship first. It's the relationship that matters most. Because if our kids don't trust us or really want to work with us at all, once they hit a certain age or a certain size, there's not a whole lot we can do other than the punitive methods. And that's just not working for most parents now.
No, I definitely agree with that. And I learned a lot about, I don't know how kids wanted to be treated through my coaching in hockey when I was, coaching 13, 14, 15-year-olds. I'd have them come to me, and I was only, 19, 20, 21 myself. So a ways away from, having children. And I really saw how some of the parenting affected some of the kids, how they talked to them, how they treated them, even just in a sports world. And I was able to, obviously our two girls are 9 and 12. They're totally different, as I'm sure most kids are in every family. So I can definitely see your points.
Yeah. And the language that we use really is important. A small shift in how we address a concern with a child can make an entire difference between feeling closer and more collaborative, or feeling disconnected and resentful or angry or worse. and kids are just like us. They want to be treated respectfully. And many of the traditional methods that we grew up experiencing are keeping us disconnected.
No, that's a very, very valid point. And as you said, I mean, not to, have some fun with a little bit of fun with this, but
please do. Yeah, parenting it needs more fun, right?
Exactly. And I mean, in today's world, everything is so stressful. Everything is everybody's connected. Everybody's talking about social media, how bad it is. Parents are working longer hours. I mean, how do you keep parents, let's say, from losing it with their kids when they have a bad day?
It's a combination of things. I wish there were an easy little 2-step process here. Go do this and it's all better. In simple terms, it is easy. Focus on the relationship first. Have the talk later. Make sure that they're okay emotionally, that they're feeling connected to you, and then they're open to listening to what you have to say. That's a key piece. Emotions. Learning to recognize and manage our own emotions is a huge part. As most good parents recognize, it really is about them and what they're bringing and how they're showing up with their kids. That's usually the bigger issue. That being said, it is important to have a full toolbox, as they say, full of strategies and different ways of saying things so that you can have those tough conversations, or you can guide them in the way that you envision.
No, I mean, that's a great answer. And obviously from what I'm saying here, there's a lot of, a lot of listening and a lot of open communications at all levels. Doesn't matter
Yes.
what time of day or whatever it may be.
And that can be really hard for those of us who grew up denying our emotions, pushing them aside, holding them back so that we don't bother other people with our big emotions. We get a lot of negative messages about emotion, as emotions being bad and uncomfortable and not necessary. So let's just get over it.
Yeah.
And those are seriously impacting the way that we're raising our kids. I'm sure you and every listener a time spoke to them in a way that made them feel this big, that caused them to feel shame. Emotions really do matter, and to be our fully successful selves, the best version of ourselves, it's critical that we pay attention to emotions and learn what to do with them so that we can make the choices no parent sets out to say, I'm going to yell at my kids today when they make a mistake. Yeah, I think that'll be a good idea. We don't. It's just, like you say, the busyness and the long work hours, it builds up, and we don't know how to cope. So we just go into that fight or flight state, and we basically fight our kids. We yell at them. Yeah. And it's pretty serious damage to especially the young kids when we're reactive as opposed to proactive. So it's important that we get honest with ourselves and maybe even get some support in looking at how we are dealing with our own stuff.
No, absolutely. And I mean, whether you get support, whether it be through you or somebody that that's a first step. And I know beforehand you were telling me a little bit about you're moving into UEQ. Why don't you tell us a little more about that?
Absolutely. So I've partnered up with a company out of Calgary, your hometown. And they have developed a really cool line of games which increase emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence is just how it sounds. It's being intelligent about our emotions. Now, there's a lot that goes into that. We need to be able to recognize emotions in ourselves and others, label them. There's an expression called "name it to tame it" by Dr. Dan Siegel. And it really is true. If we can pinpoint the exact accurate emotion, usually emotions, that we're experiencing, it will take the emotional charge out of it so that we can get out of that fight or flight brain and start using our logical, rational, good judgment and making those choices that when we're calm, we wish we had made. So this company has taken the neuroscience about brains and game dynamics and combined those to create a series of game decks. And so each game deck looks a little bit like this. The first 3 levels, and there are at least 10, there's 2 for kids, more coming all the time. And it's not just for families, it's corporations, work teams, you name it, athletes. So the series of game decks focus on different emotional skills. And by practicing the skills in a game with a couple other people, your emotional intelligence increases, your vocabulary increases, so you can name it to tame it. Because if I say I'm upset, I'm still going to be upset. That's not enough. But if I say that I'm feeling resentment and anger and guilt, if those are all of the emotions that are going on inside of me right now, suddenly the charge is gone and I can go, okay, I know they're still there. I may have to have some conversations or therapy or, just reflect on this.
Yeah.
But I can move forward. They're not weighing me down. They're not holding me back. And it's pretty amazing. Just a few minutes a week, I've seen a difference. I have had some conversations, shall we say, with my partner. I mean, we're pretty good communicators, but we have gone to another level with it. And I'm pretty sure we avoided some big blow-ups a couple times this summer just from employing the skills. And he doesn't play it that much. Usually I'm playing with clients or some of the other trainers that I've worked with. But just through modeling, he's picked it up. My kids have been playing and they've picked it up from me. It's making such a difference. I really want everybody to get to know this stuff. So yeah, I'm doing trainings for not-for-profit groups. Hopefully we'll be moving into helping work with their clients as well, working with parent groups online, corporations as well. And I'm teaching how to play the games. Yeah, so there's so much to it. There's online courses, the game decks themselves, which are, sorry, the camera's backwards or the video's backwards. Yeah, so there's even a cryptocurrency here that's getting developed. Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. It's the funnest, fastest, and most affordable way to raise your EQ.
And that is interesting because, I mean, EQ, in the sports world, everybody talks about, whether it be hockey IQ or how they can play the game or how they can read the game. But,
absolutely,
not a lot of people talk about EQ, whether it be in family or business and cultures. And I think, families that talk. And I mean, we do a lot of different things. We have a Sunday supper where all of us sit down together. At least it's once a week. And, once school starts here, and then you got one in hockey and dance and piano and all the things going. Sometimes you don't have that time to sit down and talk. So I think having something like that would be a huge benefit for families. Yeah.
And really it takes 10 minutes once or twice a week. And it's a great conversation starter because I convinced my parents to play with me and they asked to play again. And I learned some things about them I had no idea.
Oh, I bet.
And it wasn't like a big reveal of their deepest, darkest stories and secrets. It really was just, I'm taking my turn, talking about this emotion, and the next person goes. And I was like, okay, I feel like I know them better.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat. So it brings people together. It develops that vocabulary and it helps us in the moment process what's been going on for us, even if it was years ago, even if it was 5 minutes ago.
Interesting. Yeah. So I know you mentioned you're starting to work with nonprofits and a few other things. What else are you looking at expanding into doing with your coaching? Again, I'm talking with Alison Smith. If her website's on the below, and it's also in the comments section, and you can click on it.
So trainings, in-person trainings I'm doing. So it could be a 4-hour training with or without getting the card deck to take home. And through that training, people are learning how to practice those skills, how to use the game to increase their EQ. And then if they like, they can go on to other levels. There's an online course for each level of the game. And with each course, you get sent your own physical in your hands game. The reason it's a physical touch game is because the experience is much richer. There's much more benefit when we can hold it in our hands and interact with it. The next best way to do it is having the physical cards and playing with someone online, which for most people's busy lives and the fact we're spread all over the world, it's a really good option.
Yeah.
So I'm doing a combo too of online groups that take the course and we work together to play the game every week, and I help them implement, and I include some coaching to help them implement all of those new skills.
Oh, I mean, that sounds, and I, you know what, I look forward to, as you start dabbling into the UEQ more, I'm looking forward to maybe having another conversation to see how it's evolved over the next, 6 months or a year, because I think that's such an important part of keeping, whether it be families or business partners, from doing this to each other as time grows, right? And you've seen this all the time, and in small businesses where the two partners are like, I can't work with you anymore.
Right. We just haven't been raised with those skills. Yeah. And with EQ the fact is that it's not taught in the traditional sense. You can't sit down and read a book and say, oh, right, cool, I'm emotionally intelligent. You have to catch it. You have to be around people that are using the skills because the modeling is the important way to learn it. And that's why it's so important for parents, for leaders within business, to be living these things, to practice them enough so they can model it for others. And others naturally do pick up on it. Now, that's not to say everybody's going to buy in.
Yeah.
Some people just aren't ready, or they may have had too much trauma in their lives that they just can't for whatever reason. But for the most part, being around emotionally intelligent people will raise our own EQ. Interesting point about businesses. We all want to be successful, right? We're always looking for the next best thing that's going to help us get there. And sometimes we follow, some squirrel trails to get there. The interesting thing about success, in addition to the communication and the relationships that are also very important, when we talk about success itself, whether it's profit, whether it's contribution, whatever it is, success is much more predicted by one's level of EQ than it is by one's level of IQ. Which is contrary to what most of us have believed or been led to believe. Not intentionally, obviously, but we're always learning new things as we research, right?
Yeah.
So EQ is a much greater predictor of success. It really is critical.
No, that makes sense. And actually, we just had a question here. Adette says, how does one get EQ training? I certainly see where this fits into my business. Is that something you can share with us?
Absolutely. Right here. I can get you all set up, Adette, and answer any of your questions. Feel free to reach out either through Facebook or email, my website, whatever. And I'll give you all the details on that. Great question.
Perfect. You can just click on it, or Adette, you can contact myself. I'll be able to put you in contact with Alison as well. So thank you, Adette. So for my last question, it's always the same one. I mean, everybody seems to have a different answer, but if you had one, I guess, piece of advice for a small business, an entrepreneur, or starting up, especially someone who, maybe you and I basically have our name is our business, what would that be?
It's really hard to choose one. You might have noticed I like to talk. I like to share what I learn. I'd love to talk to anybody. Thanks, Adette. Love to talk to anybody about my opinions and experience. One really big thing that I believe in is doing our own work, as they say. The work is learning more about ourselves, getting more aware of what is important to us, and what our styles are, what our habits are, maybe what some of our issues are, because there will always be obstacles in business. And the more we can reduce what our own obstacles are, the more success we can see, because we so often get in our own way on the journey to the next level in business.
No, and it's amazing how many times I have that conversation with people and clients, and the phrase I use is "let go to grow." And so many people, as you said, this is the way it's been. It's always going to be that way. And I am successful, but I just can't get to that next level. And as you said, you can't get out of their own way. So that's a great piece of advice.
Yeah, and it's advice that I have to keep reminding myself of too. Whenever there's that next level, you feel yourself start to struggle, and it's like, why can't I get this? Like, maybe I just need to go take this program, or maybe I need to connect with this other person and learn more about such and such. When usually we can find a lot of our own answers, and don't get me wrong, we need other people. Absolutely, you can't do this on your own. Yeah. But we've got to figure out how we're getting in our own way, so that we can then get past that struggle and hit that next plateau and ride that for a while.
Absolutely. So true. And you know what, Alison, thank you so much for coming on today, sharing your knowledge, sharing your story, especially talking about emotional intelligence. It's such an important part of not only business, but families, but society in general, in my opinion.
Yeah. Imagine if everybody could keep their cool. Like, how would that change things, right?
Oof. Yeah, no,
Or at least more
I
often.
argue that.
Let's lower the bar a little, at least more often.
More often, yes, let's start with more often. That
Yeah.
that would be a good goal for everybody.
For
So
sure.
again,
Thanks
thank
so
you.
much for having me on. I appreciate
Oh, I
it.
appreciate it. Again, if you want to click on our website, you can just go to the comments section, AlisonSmithCoaching.com. Again, thank you, Alison. And I look forward to having another conversation, and have a great Wednesday.
You too. Take care.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.